Okay, we're going to learn how to properly break down your setup and your studio. I had a client in here, she just left. It's time to break down and set up the studio. She is the last client of the day, but I still like to kind of set up so tomorrow is just a little bit faster. What I like to do, I try to be as efficient as possible and as cleanly as possible, but I like to be efficient because I do stack my schedule pretty dang tight. What I do is I pull out 4 gloves because you're going to need dirty gloves and then clean gloves. So I'm going to pull out 4 gloves and I'm just going to put them on top of my tool chest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when I break down, I try to go from the least contaminated to most contaminated, because in my brain, if I take my gloves and I start breaking this area down and then I go to maybe an area like the handles of my ring lights, it just doesn't make as much sense to me. There's more probability for me to get really dirty over here and then bring it over to my ring light. So I'm gonna break down my ring lights and the least bloody places first and then move to the most contaminated areas. My surgical light I touch all the time while I'm working. So this guy and then my machine and my tray are definitely going to be the most contaminated. So I'm just going to bring my ring light over here into frame. I'm currently touching it at a place where I did not touch it while working. The second you touch any barrier tape, you have to almost instantly imagine that your hands are covered with blood. That kind of helps my brain to train myself where I'm putting my hands. If I have a scratch on my nose, I'm not going to itch it, etc., etc. So when you're breaking these things down, you almost want to unwrap it like a banana. Do your best to not have any of the dirty saran wrap or barrier tape touch any of the clean areas. So I simply just kind of unwrap it like a banana, and then I'll toss it, and then the head of my chair, my buttons. I'm gonna go step out of camera and get my other ring light over here. The handle of my mirror that I hand my client, toss that away. The little adjustable handle on my stool. So that's pretty much that. So now I've got the 2 most contaminated areas. I'm gonna slide this guy this way. I'm gonna also unwrap this like a banana as well. So now everything that we've unwrapped is pretty dang clean underneath, but you still have to pretend that it's potentially contaminated. So now with my Balar, I'm gonna pop off the needle. I'm going to put it in my sharps container. Now, this is where it starts to get a little tricky. I have my tray, but I also keep my back bar over here. This doesn't stay, none of these utensils over here stay like bloody or contaminated. All of this stuff is bloody and contaminated. I'm gonna slide off my grip tape. That little inch that we folded over, I'm going to pull off. Now we have this. I'm simply going to disconnect my Balar from my mini DC cable, and I'm going to slide it out of the protective barrier tape onto my back bar without it touching anything. That's it. So it didn't touch anything. I'm gonna slide this little guy onto the ground. Now I'm gonna try to get this into camera. So now I have to grab my power source. I'm simply going to lift up the saran wrap and fold it in half. I know that this side of the barrier tape is contaminated and this side is clean. So when I fold it in half, I'm going to use the clean side at the bottom to grab my power source and just rest it on the ground. Now I'm going to peel off my tray and wrap it up and toss it in my hazardous little waste bag here. Now before I unglove, I always make sure I check the room that I haven't forgot anything that I wrapped up, because there's nothing more annoying than taking your gloves off right now and seeing that you missed a little spot or there's still some tape. So I'm gonna unglove. Now I'm going to take Cabicide spray and I'm gonna spray everything down. Everything, you need to read the back of it. Everything needs to be visibly wet for 3 minutes. So I'm gonna spray my tray. I'm going to spray my seat, my handle, my buttons, the client's head, my ring light, the handle of my mirror. I do give my little Balar a little spray. The hands of my chair, the head of my chair, the body of my chair, all the way down to the feet. Now I'm gonna put on my clean gloves. And I usually wait about a minute because I know that that minute is killing stuff. But I take out my Cabi wipes now and I kind of give it a little shake upside down just so all the juices could really get to all the wipes. And I pull out about 8 of them. And then I take more Cabicide and I make them even wetter. And I place them on my little clean area over here, just on top of my tool chest. And I like to grab out 2 and fold them in half. Same thing over here. I'm gonna start with the least contaminated area and then move to the most contaminated area. I like wiping down the iPad that they check in with just because of COVID and germs. And this is where I'll clean brow mapping pencils. I'm gonna do my tray. I do side to side, back and forth, around the rim, and then underneath. I'm gonna do my light. Toss that. Now I'm going to grab 1 and I'm going to clean my Balar. I spin it and I undo it. I clean the base of it and then I'll stick my finger through the little handle piece, clean that. And then I fold the napkin, the little end where the cartridge goes in because I can't get my finger in there. And then I also take my Cabicide and I shoot Cabicide in there and then I let it just bask in the Cabicide. Now I'm going to clean my power source. You really want to be gentle with these mini DC cords because, man, again, they are so delicate. They do tend to go out quite fast. I also spray down the floor and clean the floor. Just like the little area that, you know, you're kind of moving around a lot when you're working. And that is pretty much it. Now I would take my garbage out to where it belongs, and then I don't unglove until I dump it in the garbage. But let's just pretend I'm going to take my gloves off now. I'm gonna go wash my hands, and then I will show you how I set back up. Okay, so I've washed my hands and we're gonna set the room back up. It's been over 3 minutes and there's definitely still things that are damp in here, so we are good to go. I'm gonna grab some gloves and I'm just going to wrap, again, everything that I could potentially touch or use. Now I would grab out another dental bib and another dental bib next to that. And I'm gonna take my Balar, my power source, and I'm gonna put it on this one here. I'm gonna wrap my tray. One on the right side, one down the middle, and one on the left side. Put my new clean dental bib on. Grab my Balar, plug it in. I like my power source on the left side, my Balar on the right. I'm gonna grab 2 pieces of saran wrap. My machine clip cord cover. Also, when I put my Balar through this, I actually don't hold it at this little flimsy area of the cord. I try to hold it at the very base of the Balar. Just another little step I take to protect the flimsiness of my cords because they are quite flimsy. Flimsy is the word of the day. And again, about 1 inch, fold it over and pin it with your finger, and then wrap your grip tape around your Balar, and then unwrap the twist in your cord and put your Balar on your machine. Tuck that guy away. Again, we're not, completely done setting it up. We still have to do the pigments and all of that, but I'm just gonna finish wrapping up my room. I've got barrier tape for my buttons. The head of my chair. And my other ring light on the other side of the room. The handle of my mirror. Everything is wrapped. We're not completely set up. We would still have to set up the back bar and all your tools that you need for your client that aren't going to get bloody, and your pigments and your wipes and your rinse cups and all of that. But this would be the majority of it.